Marvel can get a bit overwhelming at times. I mean, of course, we got the main Spider-Man. You already know his story. But in other universes, there's a whole bunch of versions of the same type of characters. Similarities, but a lot of differences as well. There's even Spider-Woman in other universes, like Gwen, for example. Oh yeah, let's get into it. I usually go over the comic book versions, but today I'm going to be going over the movie version of her from Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse to analyze how strong she is. Of course, she has limited showings because currently at this moment of me filming this video, she only has like 2 movies at the moment, but she still has some pretty cool showings of strength though. You guys already know the norm. The movie explains her origin story, similar to pretty much every Spider-Man we know of as of late. She was bitten by a radioactive spider, which enhanced her physicals and gave her superpowers basically. And as of the events of Into the Spider-Verse, she's been Spider-Woman for 2 years. Hobbies include drumming, aka a band, and also stops bad people, saves people, the standard stuff. Has your stereotypical dark origin story. Can't save your best friend, somebody important to you. Too much pain when you lose a friend, so she said, oh, let me not do this friendship stuff no more. She does this to avoid distractions, and then this weird thing where it's sucked into another universe happened, and that's how the movie started, where all the different spider people met each other and stuff. Yeah, she could do the classic spider thing, like sticking on the sides of buildings or walls in general. Like, tell me, how's her Chuck Taze helping her stick? You know what? We're not even gonna talk about that. She has the standard superpowers like all spider characters, like spider sense, of course. One could say precognition. It alerts you to danger, surprises, and things of that such. One could say this helps her fighting speed be even better than it normally would be. She kind of has a jump start on knowing when you're about to punch her. Like in this occasion, she uses her spider sense to tell that the lizard arrived, then counter by using her web to restrain him and stuff of that such. Apparently, her spider sense can tell her where to go.
My spider sense told me to head to Vision's Academy. Wasn't sure why until I met you.
The spider sense can tell them how to solve mysteries or what? Let me stop. Her spider sense can even tell if a character's in the wrong universe. Thanks to all these properties and everything put together, she can hit really hard, whether it be a punch or a kick. She can just strike you really hard. She has web cartridges and stuff of that such, along with her costume to help her out, so she has standard gear, and that's why she's Spider-Woman. And she's responsible for webbing them up in this situation, for example. Yeah, she can use web and things of that such. Kind of, Spider-Man, you gotta have web if you're a spider character. You see what I mean? Police officers don't have the strength to rip out of it easily. One could say this situation, it could give you an idea of how strong her web strength is, being able to make multiple webs. Like one could say a web bed strong enough to slow down helicopters, with her also helping pull it with her strength as well. Not to mention the weight of helicopters. Helicopters can vary in weight. She didn't seem to lift a crazy thick or huge helicopter or nothing, or at least slow it down. One can say here she used her web to help slow down a 5-ton helicopter or one that weighed at least 1,000 pounds. With her web helping her out, of course. She was strong enough to hold something that had probably was at least 1 ton at least, or 5 tons. How much do you think this helicopter weighed? Right off gate, we've seen her lifting heavy stuff that's as big as her body, or one could say bigger than her own body. Huge debris she can easily move out of the way, helping Miles lift this heavy stuff up. She's strong enough to pull a motorcycle along with somebody riding on top of it, proving that she can move the weight of a motorcycle and with somebody on the motorcycle and fling them in the air. Shipping containers have different weights and stuff, but they're all pretty heavy regardless of their size, going from 2 tons to even 4 tons. And Gwen can actually lift up such containers and sling it, and it doesn't seem like much of a struggle, implying she can lift a lot more. Not to mention, look how far they go, so I'll let you know that just simply lifting it up isn't her max. She can fling it that far. She's had to use her strength to physically overpower other super beings strong like her, like the lizard, similar to comic lore, how the lizard and Spider-Man be going at it. This movie pretty much duplicates, fights between spider people and the lizard. Spider-Gwen fighting the lizard here, showing her strength restraining his biting power and physicals and things of that sort. Despite the size difference, she still can physically overpower such beings. Lifting up humans is effortless for a spider character. You can see her webs being strong enough to stop Mrs. Octavius. Octavius in this universe, she can still web her up. And while both her arms were entangled in web, she used this opportunity with her combat IQ to deliver a kick without her being able to block because her arms can't block. When the Spider Crew, different Spider characters in the multiverse working together, like in this particular occasion, Spider-Gwen along with another Spider character's goal was to slow down a building from falling.
You slow down that building.
You got feats like this that imply the writers want these Spider strong characters to be similar to their comic book counterparts, being able to lift or pull hundreds of tons and stuff of that such. I will admit this was tough, so one could say this is approaching her limit, but this is still insane when they're working together. Got an angle here, her pulling here with help, both Spider people pulling from each side to help stop this huge building from collapsing. I mean, this piece of building was so big that their web actually snapped in this particular occasion. Yeah, this huge Alchemax building was about to be catastrophic how big this crap was. Yeah, but she couldn't completely stop it, but she halted it for a little while. It kind of lets you know her strength, along with other Spider characters, be able to be a helpful asset and help slow it down for a little bit. So I totally believe if a building was tilting over with enough web and maybe some teamwork, she can help support thousands of tons or pull such weight and help it and stop it from falling over. How strong do you think she is? Do you think her grip is that mighty? What do you think the limits of her physical strength is? Like, according to this website, you can get some ideas of different weights of buildings and stuff of that such. And you saw how big that building was compared to everything. Like, for example, this One World Trade Center building could weigh 500,000 tons. Weirdly enough, even though this feat does not happen in the comics for her, this kind of reminds me of when Spider-Man, the Man from the comics himself, supported the weight of a building. Not all of the weight, but a good chunk of the building's weight he was supporting, which had to be at least thousands of tons he was supporting. Even if you don't want to assume Spider-Gwen or Spider-Man could lift the entire 500,000 tons. Even if we don't assume that. Even if we assume they supported 1% of 500,000 tons, that's still over thousands of tons. It's really insane that you can say they can't lift at least 1,000 tons at this point, even in this movie verse. I mean, she at least slowed it down for a little bit, which it was a struggle. So one could say this could be approaching that limit, and she did have help. One could say if we lowball it again and cut this in half, that's still 2,500 tons. Like, there's no way you can lowball this, guys. This is pretty much admitting that if a house was to fall on her, she would be able to stop it with her strength from falling on her. So if 1,000 tons fell on her back, she would be able to support it with her muscles, just raw strength in general, at least. 100 tons should be a joke at this point. This should actually be considered lightweight. Like, sure, you can have your opinion on which Spider-Man is stronger, blah, 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 but for the most part, let's be honest, they all should be similar when it comes to raw physical strength to some degree, even though she's a female. And when it comes to other feats of this universe, you can kind of get an idea of her strength based on what other Spider characters can do as well, since she's comparable to them at least when it comes to raw physicals by what they can do physically. Like, I want to give you an example of some of the other Spider characters' strength. Like, for example, Goblin is super big, and look how small he looks compared to this super huge collider. Spider-Man's even smaller than this. Normal humans are even smaller than this. You can kind of get an idea of how big this structure is. This is the Spider-Man that actually died, but yeah, before he died, we got to see how strong he was still. And here's another angle of how large it is. You can see their shadow. You can see how small they look right here compared to this big thing, and it's rotating. Like, just one of the gears are rotating, and we see he's actually strong enough to stop it from rotating. You get more ideas of these Spider-Man's strength is by when you went to his lair, you know, after he died, of course, these other Spider characters, including Gwen, went to his lair because they was about to have a super Spider team up and stuff. And it's easy to miss that these weights in the corner are ridiculously heavy. Like, you know how in real life there's weight plates. We know that the smaller ones weigh less, and the bigger they get, the heavier they are, right? Fair, right? Like, these weights here that the Spider-Man was using here, when you flip the picture upside down, it's implied these are 25-ton plates. And these are the smaller plates saying this. Logically, these should be heavier. But let's disrespect the Spider characters and assume none of the weights get heavier. That's still insane if we assume all the heavier weights are the same weight as that. Unless I'm smoking weed and I can't count right, it looks like there's at least 10 plates of 25 tons at least on each side. And you know how dumbbells work. There's weight on one side, and then there's weight on the other side. Spider-Man had weights like this on both sides. If we assume it's 250 tons on each side, that would mean these Spider characters can lift at least 500 tons, which would make them kind of similar to the Spider characters from the comics that we know and love when it comes to lifting heavy stuff. So the Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse, or one could say Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen, all of them can at least lift at least 500 tons if we assume they're similar to the main Peter that died. If that makes sense, right? Doesn't that make sense? I think it does, right? That's like saying she can lift 3 whales, support the weight of 2 Statues of Liberties, support the weight of 2 train engines, or support the weight of 2 long-necked dinosaurs like this, for example. With all this strength inside of her, it would make sense if she can punch really hard, and we know she can. Strength behind her punches that can generate the force needed to lift up 500 tons. She would blow apart a house or something, or even punch a support pillar of a building and collapse it if she wanted to, like with just her fist. You know she can hit hard because I already showed her earlier overpowering the lizard with physicals. She can kick such beings out. This is even portrayed in a new movie when she kicked him like this. Sleep Time. This alternate reality Dr. Octopus, we've seen her kick back with her striking power. I wouldn't want to be kicked by her. It would feel like the equivalent of multiple airplanes landing on your face. If you don't somehow believe she can punch hard because of all that lifting or physical strength she has, what if I told you she could punch, one could say she could punch hard because of her fighting speed. You know how helicopters have, helicopter blades that move ridiculously fast, and that's the reason why it helps a helicopter fly or float in the air. One could say you can kind of get an idea of her reflexes. In this case, you see the helicopter blade slow down when she perceives it. The average speed of a helicopter blade can rotate at 400 rotations per minute, or one could say her fighting speed, combat speed, or whatever you want to to call it, can perceive helicopter blades in slow motion or almost frozen. This can kind of give you an idea of her reflexes being way past superhuman level. You ain't gonna just hit her if you're a normal human. If you punched her, odds are she let you hit her. She can perceive a bullet while it's in mid-flight and save her dad. That kind of shows how fast her web shooters are. You can shoot faster than a bullet in that scan. Like one of her mini battles fighting this guy, for example, easily dodging arrows with ease. You can also get an idea of how hard she can hit by how much her body can withstand, and her body just doesn't splat. Like we've seen her get hit by super beings and, just brush it off like it's no big deal. Like she got hit against concrete, cracked it after the hit to show how much she can withstand. It goes along with her strength. You see her crack this thing right here. You actually see her go through it and crack the wall. Her body can withstand being scraped against concrete by Vulture here. And strong enough to damage beings like this, super beings. I mean, we know shipping containers can weigh up to 2 tons, all the way up to 4 tons. At least. We know her lifting strength has to help with her punching power because we've seen her punch. Shipping containers that are big like this, move them with her punch without her knuckles bleeding or anything, then proceeds to lifting it. You get the idea. She can punch with similar force that she can lift, or one could say she can strike even harder because most folks can hit harder than what they can lift because of momentum, speed, all that good stuff. Not to mention we know how fast she can punch. She can punch faster than the average human too. Speed equals power. You know what I mean? Speed is weight. When it comes to her power in general, I think this movie series so far has done a good job at portraying her strength, or the Spider characters. I think they did a decent job, but I want to hear your thoughts below. But before I get going, I gotta say, thanks for the donations, everybody. Helps out a lot. Respect Spider-Gwen and Into the Spider-Verse animated universe, or across the Spider-Verse. You know what I mean? Respect her. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.